All right, so in social studies, we're on page 147. We'll continue to talk about some of the inventors. So we had talked about Thomas Edison, who did the light bulb, the Wright brothers, who invented the airplane, Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, and the assembly line, which was started by Henry Ford, which made a faster way to get products out. The sleeping car, by the Pullman sleeping car, was invented. So we'll just talk about a couple of other inventions that were made by other people, things that are very useful still today. So there are many American scientists and inventors who have wanted to make a difference in the lives of others. Here are just a few. We have Garrett Morgan. He's actually a black inventor, one of the most famous. He invented two different things that would really provide safety to people. So one of the things was a breathing mask he invented, right? This would prevent people from inhaling poisonous air, right? If like the air is contaminated with something, you could put on a breathing mask that would help you to continue to breathe in oxygen so that you're not breathing in the poisonous air. Okay, so at first when he invented it, there wasn't really a use for it because people were like, we're not really inhaling poisonous air. But on July 25th, 1916, there was an explosion that happened, and the men were trapped and in danger of breathing poisonous air. So the breathing mask, someone remembered it, and it came in handy, perfect timing, and these men were able to use the um, breathing mask so that they wouldn't breathe in the poisonous air. Also, firefighters and soldiers are people who would use it as well. And still to this day, we know firemen still wear a breathing mask, right? When they go inside of fires, they can't inhale all the smoke, right? They need a mask to put over them so that they're not breathing in all of that smoke that's in a house or whatever they're dealing with. So that was so useful. So it may not have been important at that time when he first invented it, but over time, as things happen, they realize we do need the breathing mask. So thank you, Gary Morgan, for inventing the breathing mask. He also invented the traffic light. Now we know how important the traffic light is, right? If you're in the car, imagine there were no traffic lights. So everybody would just be able to go how they want, right? Crashes all day long. There will be this person that says, I want to keep going. This person that says, I want to keep going. But the traffic light helps to make sure one side stops so another side can go. The traffic light was very important in helping people drive safely on the roads, right? So if the traffic light is working properly and people are obeying it, people will be safe. Not running the light, but stopping at the red, going at the green. So Gary Morgan invented both the breathing mask and the traffic light, two things that are very important for safety and still very useful inventions today. Okay, let's look at 148. And let's talk about Norman Borlaug. He grew up in Iowa and his parents came from Norway. And so, where they had seen many people suffer from hunger as he grew up. So, he wanted to find a way to make sure that people had enough food because he grew up in poverty and did not have food. He wanted to help people he wanted to help people have enough food. Okay. And so Henry Wallace was a Secretary of Agriculture. Agriculture is like farming. Somebody is over like all of that, the farming. So he hired Norman Borlaug to help him. Okay, so Wallace, the man who was the Secretary of Agriculture, he knew about George Washington Carver, right? Everybody knows George Washington Carver, right? He invented peanuts, well, peanut butter, right? He used peanuts to invent a lot of different things. You'll talk about him in third grade. But George Washington Carver, he invented a lot of things and he mentored, meaning he taught Wallace, the Secretary of Agriculture, a lot of things. So Wallace teaming up with Norman, that was perfect for them to come up with some kind of way to help people have food. So Mr. Borlaug began to study plants and he worked with Mr. Henry Wallace. And so Norman Borlaug's discoveries helped starving countries find better ways to grow food. And so it said that his inventions, the way that he helped over 2 billion people from starving. So that was a great invention. That was great what he did. And so he developed seeds that would grow in countries where it was hard to grow food. So he worked with, different types of plants and he created a seed because in some places it was hard to grow. Maybe their soil was really hard. They didn't have good soil, maybe dry places. So with the seed that he invented, it allowed foods to grow in those areas. So that was good because some people were starving. They could not grow any food, but he helped invent some things to help them grow food, like a seed, for example. Okay. Then we have 149, Dr. Robert Sherney. He faced many challenges when he was young. His mom died, right? He helped provide for his family, but he didn't give up, right? Just kind of like when we talked about Abraham Lincoln. He had to quit school early, but he did not give up. He still made sure he read to get an education. So Robert Sherney, Dr. Robert Sherney, earned his college diploma when he was 40. So he was an older person. Most people finish college, if you follow like the normal system, you'll finish college at like 22, 23. You go get your master's maybe 25, 26, right? Doctorate maybe a little older. But anyway, he finished at 40, right? Most people would say that's old, but that's really not. But he finished at 40. So during World War II, he was a medic. You know, the medic is helping people that are injured. He was a medic, right? After the war, he wanted to do something else to make a difference, so he became a scientist for NASA. We know that NASA is the people who are there. No, that's NASA. The people who are work at NASA study space, the stars, the sun, the moon, all of that. And so he decided to become a scientist for NASA. And so he designed many different things that made space and moon exploration easier. So he had a hand in some inventions that helped that were able to help discover more about the moon and the sun. So after retiring from NASA, he dedicated his life to helping others in his community. Okay, so his work on the moon buggy tire designed for one of the Apollo missions, um, he helped out with making the invention of that. And so he also helped with astronauts, a lot of things that they needed. So good thing I actually visited NASA in Houston like maybe a month ago. And so it was really cool just seeing like the rockets and the spaceships and all of that stuff that they, work in. So he probably had a hand in some of that. I don't know. So yeah, so 150. So let's look at 150 and let's talk about a few more. So we have Igor Skorsky. He was born in Russia, but he immigrated to the United States. He later invented what many thought was impossible, which was the helicopter. So we know the Wright brothers invented the airplane, but we know that helicopters are different from airplanes. Airplanes have like engines and jets and all that, but a helicopter does have that. But their blades are at the top and they're a lot smaller. They're not the size of airplanes. So, but helicopters, what makes helicopters different is that they can land without a runway. Planes need a runway, right? If you ever rode on a plane before, usually before the plane takes off, it'll, kind of ride through the runway and then eventually they'll drive off and start to fly into the air. With a helicopter, it's different because the blades are at the top. All it does is it lifts. So that means if they need to go find someone in the mountains, an airplane wouldn't be able to do that, right? Because it would need a runway to land. But a helicopter, it could land anywhere because of the legs, I guess you could say, at the bottom. So if there's somebody that needs to be rescued some type of way, if you need to airlift someone to a hospital far away, you could use a helicopter for all of those things. And so they were extremely helpful in emergency situations. And so Igor Skorsky, he was one who invented the helicopter. We have Mary Anderson, who got the idea of the windshield wiper during a trip to New York. She noticed that her trolley driver often had to wipe off the snow with his hand, and she said, man, it would be good if we had something installed on the car that could wipe it away on its own. And so she tried to sell her invention, but no one made it when she made the windshield wiper. But when automobiles came out, cars were invented, her idea of windshield wipers was used to make cars safer. Imagine trying to drive in the car with snow falling or with rain falling and you have no windshield wipers. You will not be able to see at all. So the windshield wipers are important. They help to clear the glass so that you could see. So Mary Anderson, she invented the windshield wiper. Then we have Dr. Ann Wang. He invented a way for computers to remember information using magnetism. Dr. Wang continued to work on improving computers. The rest of his life, his name is in the Inventors Hall of Fame. And so he invented the... Why isn't anyone else in there? In what? The Hall of Fame? Yeah. There might be other people. It's just saying that he was there as well. Wait, who? And so he invented... So basically how computers can store things, like if you ever save something on a computer, that's a way. It's because of the drives that's in the computer. It store information. So like if you're typing something or if you're saving a video or something like that, he invented a way for the computer to remember that thing so that it doesn't get lost. Okay, so those are the rest of our inventors that we talked about this week. So Garrett Morgan, the breathing mask and the traffic light. Norman Borlaug, he invented a special seed to help food grow in countries where there was no food. Dr. Robert Cherney helped with inventions that were used in space exploration. Igor Skorsky invented the helicopter. Mary Anderson invented the windshield wiper, and Dr. Ann Wayne invented a hard drive so that a computer can store memory. Okay, so those are your people from social studies this week. Okay, your test is on Friday.